Welcome back to the Random Sound Mind podcast. I'm your host, JT. In today's episode, we're going to honor a legend. It's my own private memorial to one Charlie Kirk, who was assassinated and murdered in cold blood on September 10th. Like many of you, Charlie impacted my life through media, appearances, TV, podcasts, as well as, of course, his many appearances on college campuses. But he also impacted me because he had a conference in Phoenix in December that I went to twice in 2022 and 2023. I even have the little lanyards that I got right here. It was called AmFest, and you're there with 12,000 of your closest friends. Amazing event, amazing speakers, a great place to meet other like-minded conservatives um, in a great way. In processing the assassination of Charlie, I was hit with the same questions that you are. Who did it? What happened? Why did it happen? What is law enforcement doing about it? And what can I do in response? And in processing those, the last one, what can I do in response or what will I do, is in part the impetus for today's podcast. And to honor someone, to give a memorial to someone, is, of course, to remember who they were, their personality, what they stood for, what impact they had on the others in their lives. But for me, honoring someone's life also means honoring with my life. That means changing something, modifying something in part or whole that they did that I would like to emulate. So let me give you the 5 ways that I want to honor Charlie Kirk, and then I'll break them down. Number 1, I want to honor Charlie by having courage. Number 2, I want to honor Charlie by speaking out boldly and bravely. Number 3, I want to honor Charlie Kirk by living according to a noble set of moral values. Number 4, I want to honor Charlie Kirk by having a keen sense of self-awareness and awareness of my influences in the culture around me. And number 5, I want to honor Charlie by affecting those in my spheres of influence. So let me get to the first point, honoring Charlie by having courage. If you remember, Charlie was asked in an interview before his assassination what he'd like to be remembered for. And if it was courage for his faith, which is eerie looking back on it. But as a Christian, I hold the same faith as Charlie does. And I don't embody that ideal like he did, but I certainly have been inspired to be more courageous in that regard. And courage is one of the pillars I try to live my life by. I'm not going to give the other 3, but it has been something that I try to operate by for the last couple of decades. And I'm reminded of a quote that you may have heard of from Aristotle, and it goes something like this: courage is the mother of all virtues, and without it, you cannot access or obtain the other virtues. In other words, without courage, you can't get to the others. You can't even think to. So in that way, I would like to honor Charlie Kirk, but also you don't have to be a Christian in that way to honor him. You, in this current political climate, to be a conservative and to be out there, you need to have courage. You must have courage. And that courage leads me to point number 2, and that's to honor Charlie by speaking out boldly, bravely, unwavering, unashamed. I don't know how many people I heard in the last couple of weeks following his assassination, his family, his friends, those who worked with him, those who knew him, other conservative pundits saying that we need to speak out, that some leftist lunatic shooter will not silence the Charlie Kirk movement or Turning Point USA, and it will not silence the overall movement of conservatism. It certainly will not silence me, and I hope it doesn't silence you either. And I wanted to have a podcast, and his assassination was a huge inspiration for me to get this going quicker and get it up and running because I want to be heard. I think everyone's voice is valuable, but I wanted to get out there and speak out as well and honor him. And I think that the way that we approach speech is different between the right and the left. The right wants to speak out for ideas that we believe are best for all through persuasion. I think the left speaks out for ideas that are best for them through coercion. And there's no doubt the left hates free speech. They hate the First Amendment because if they can silence you, they can silence me, they can control you. And our founding fathers knew that. And that speaking out leads me to point number 3. If you're speaking out, that means you're probably speaking out about a set of values. And Charlie operated on different sets of values. And I want to honor him in my life by doing that. First and foremost, we know that he was a Christian. He lived by those values. Jesus was his Lord and Savior. He was unashamed about that in all aspects of his life. I don't embody that ideal as well as Charlie did, but I've certainly been encouraged to live out my Christian values in a better manner. But he also lived by another set of values, and it's conservatism. Charlie was an embodiment of that to millions and millions of people, especially young people, high school and colleges. I think a third set of values that he lived by were those we call values of the West, Western civilization, if you will. I remember in high school, I had to take a course called Western Civilization, and in the name says it all. What does that mean? It means going back to the philosophy of the Greeks, to the judicial system of the Romans, to the morality found in the Ten Commandments of Judaism. All those things are part of the West. But Charlie had those sets of values that he lived by. That leads me to point 4. If you have a set of values, it means you've got to have a keen sense of self-awareness and an awareness of the cultural influences around you. Now, we all have blind spots. I have them, but having a sense of self-awareness allows me to see those blind spots and to see what I truly value and what I'm about, to see how I can expose those blind spots and, in fact, try to get rid of those. But Charlie also had a very, very keen sense of awareness of what was going on in our culture. And he had his thumb on the pulse of it. I would say not only in America, but also globally. And you've heard that everything is downstream from culture, politics, religion. And Charlie knew that so well, which is why he was on a mission to influence the culture in a positive way through those values I just talked about. And that leads me to my 5th and final point, and honoring Charlie Kirk through affecting those in my spheres of influence. Now, Charlie did it on a grand scale, and no one did it like him, from adults, but again, to the youth movement that he created. It was a ripple effect where he impacted others who now impact others, and on it goes. But for myself, I've got to think about my spheres of influence. It could be people in my neighborhood, community groups, people at the gym, friends, recreational sports that I play. It could be societies that I'm a member of. All those things are spheres of influence where I can impact others. You know, Charlie started out with a table and a tent at one university, and look how he grew. In no way, shape, or form do I think I'm going to affect that amount of people, but I can affect those in my spheres of influence. So let me recap the 5 ways that I want to honor Charlie Kirk's life with my life. Number 1, have courage. Number 2, speak out boldly and bravely. Number 3, live by a noble set of values. Number 4, have a keen sense of self-awareness as well as an awareness about the culture around me. And 5, impact those around me, affecting those in my spheres of influence. Until next time, stay alert, stand firm, show courage, and be sound.